Hey everybody, welcome once again to the Football Forecast. This is the predicting podcast of what's going to happen this weekend in high school football here in the state of Michigan. So I do want to let our Indiana fans, though, know that a podcast is in the works right now that I am hoping to get going next week. Cool. And I've already got some individuals there who are interested in participating, including one of Alan True's compadres out at there, Steve Wiltfong. So he has mentioned that he would be interested in joining us. So that is going to be happening. So I just want you to know it's in the works in Indiana. We don't forget about you ever. So let's talk about what's happening in Michigan. First, Lawrence Technological University, the MHSAA, and Hungry Howie's are the proud sponsors of this particular podcast. I do want to mention what we're doing on State Champs Television this week. State Champs is every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Fox Sports Detroit. So we've got some games that we're covering. And again, we don't always just pick the best matchups. We try to spread ourselves around the state for coverage, as well as teams who normally don't get much play at all. So, but this one is going to get a lot of play, and that is Brother Rice, who is 3-0 out of the gate, going to Wayne State University to take on Warren De La Salle. Oh, and by the way, welcome to all the guys. Scott's here, Matt Mowery here, Sean Baligian here. You're going to hear from them right now. Warren De La Salle 2-1, obviously a tough loss at Muskegon in week 1. But here they are getting ready to start the Catholic League Central Division. And again, Brother Rice has kind of a chip on their shoulder all season long wanting to take. You're going to be calling the game. Yep.
Shedding distractions and just staying laser focused.
Talking about the Warriors, you're talking.
Talking about Brother Rice. Right before the season, a week or two before the season, the quarterback, Greg Piscopink, and his father, the defensive coordinator, Greg Piscopink, formerly of the Farmington Harrison fame, was a receiver for Milva Thrill.
Mm-hmm. In the late 80s,
Yeah, got into a car accident, and unfortunately, Mr. Piscopink, the defensive coordinator, is in the hospital recovering. But Greg, has been able to find a real release in football. I talked to Coach K the other day, and just is able to come on the field and keep all those feelings of of just feeling like, first of all, that he came away from it without a scratch, and feels very fortunate, but at the same time, I'm sure feels guilty that his father's in the hospital, and
it's a huge distraction mentally, no question.
But he's been able to keep on his game, and he's playing unbelievable football right now. Threw for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns last week in a win against a squad from Ontario. And first week of the season, I think he threw for 150, ran for 100 and some, with a big shutout of UD Jesuit, and
went down to Mishawaka Penn
and came out with a victory. He's 10-0 as a starter, 5-0 against playoff teams. Was doing it all as a freshman and sophomore in relief duty. But this is his team. He's taken the reins, even with all that extracurricular stuff percolating out there. He's been able to just go out there and hit the competition with a sledgehammer.
All that said, Warren De La Salle is our 9th-ranked team in the state right now, and again, a team that is the current defending state champions
and the defending Catholic League champs.
That's right, and they are, and I'm sure they want nothing more than to defend that crown again. They feel this is their time. It's always a cycle kind of thing with the Catholic Central Division, it seems like. What about the Pilots and how they will perform in this game and beyond?
Well, and they've played a tough schedule, too, where they are ready for this game. And I think I saw someplace that Mike McGinney missed the Muskegon game, so that defense is just obviously getting better with him on the defensive line. Both of these teams have played pretty good defense. I mean, obviously, Muskegon game aside for De La Salle. So it's going to come. It could be a real low-scoring game, but I was going to say when we were talking about Brother Rice, when was the last time we got to the 4th week of the season before they became like a front burner topic? I mean, they're laying in not that anybody thinks that they're a program that doesn't get attention, but they're kind of laying in the weeds this year at 3-0, and not that De La Salle is going to take them lightly at all, because they know what this rivalry is all about. But this is a perfect opportunity for Brother Rice went into kind of that De La Salle CC 2-week span last year and lost both, and were out of it immediately. And they've got the same thing back to back this year. So this will kind of that Catholic League Central race gets real quickly over the next 2 weeks. I mean,
even before the car accident issue, there was a lot of questions about what Brother Rice was going to be this year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, they're one of these blue blood programs that year in, year out, you have a lot of Division I recruits. This year, that's not the case. They lost their Division I quarterback, Mariano Valente, who Piscopink had been backing up the last couple of years.
Yeah.
His family moved down to Florida. He's down at St. Thomas Aquinas. He's committed to Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
But
hurricane approaching. I'm sure he's thinking, why did I just stay here?
With all these lesser-known guys, they are playing with a chip on their shoulder. It's not just the quarterback. It's not just the coaching staff that's recovering from having to move things around with Coach Piscopink in the hospital.
Yep.
But you got guys like Max Saylor, who's their one Division I recruit on the defensive line. He's a rush end, had 10 sacks last year. Max is really the energizer bunny of that pass rush. You got guys like Ben Zardes at linebacker, Deron Gilbert, a real underrated gem as a safety, and then James Donaldson's running the ball real well, and then we've talked about Colin Gardner, just that versatile, venomous slot back, cornerback. He caught I think 200 yards of receiving last week from Piscopink, and then against Michiaqua Penn had the game-sealing interception in the end zone to close the game out. He is just one of those true playmakers that doesn't get enough love. James Donaldson's running the ball real well, so they got playmakers. They're just not the type of guys that are getting a lot of love from the Division I recruiters, and maybe they're not guys that will end up Division I. Maybe they're guys that won't play college football at all, or they'll play D2 or play D3. But they're great high school football players, and they're getting the job done right now. And like Matt said, it's kind of crazy to think that we're almost kind of pushing towards the midway point of the season, and now everyone's starting to wake up and talk about Rice when they're a team that you usually talk about in the preseason.
Well, it's because it's their best start since 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, they've really, by their standards, they've really fallen off the map. And
a little bit.
It'll be interesting. They had their I guess you could say, revenge against Mishawaka after a bad loss last year.
Couple bad losses.
And you know what? That was a bad loss to De La Salle last year as well. I think it was 36-14, but for people that watched it was all Pilot. So it'll be interesting to see if that chip on the shoulder that you talked of is going to be there Friday night. I can't wait for that one.
It's also interesting. Maybe we'll have a situation where these two teams, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but maybe they switch places. Last year, no one was talking about De La Salle before the start of the season, and they came out of nowhere, won the Catholic League, and then won the state title. I'm not saying Brother Rice is going to win the state title, but maybe they're that team that no one was really talking about. Everyone was talking about De La Salle. Everyone was talking about Catholic Central. Maybe they're the ones that come kind of from the back of the pack and speed past at the finish line.
They were picked for last in the Central last year, and Mike Gino brought that up, that now they're picked for first, and that's a whole different role. Because when you're picked for last, you can wear that chip on your shoulder and no one believes in us kind of thing, and Rice has kind of, like you said, got that role that they can fit right into.
And who I really like from De La Salle, just shout out a couple more guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jacob Dobbs, just a workhorse warrior on both sides of the ball, whether he's running the ball power or running sideline to sideline as a linebacker. And then Devin Campbell, one of those speedy outside linebacker types that I really like. Besides Dobbs, obviously everyone knows about Josh DeBerry, probably their best player, maybe the best player in the Catholic League.
Well, I was going to say, we talk, it could be low scoring, it could be a shootout on the other end, because De La Salle has no problem going up over the top, and we saw that against the likes of Muskegon, right out of the gate, and they had a huge win last week, so I'm sure with 57 points or whatever it was, that they threw the ball a lot. So we could have one of those kind of things, which of course would make it super exciting for you and your broadcast, Catholic Radio here. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll get to the predictions at the end of the show, like we, at the end of the segment, like we like to do. But this could be a real dogfight, and they've had plenty of those over the years. If you remember the one where Alex Malzone threw the Hail Mary basically in the last play of the game.
That was when Verska was there.
Yeah.
I swear, both Verska and Fracassa were like almost having coronaries.
Yes.
One was so excited, and one was so disturbed because there would have been a controversial play call leading up to that to give them that final snap.
Yep.
And then the amazing Jason Alessi, who had never caught a pass before and had just done all of his magic on the defensive side of the ball and on special teams, splits out wide for one play and catches a Hail Mary.
So one of the games we also can have on State Champs TV is a 2-1 Anchor Bay squad going to our number 7 team in the state Chippewa Valley, 3-0. we're choosing this game because we really want to get Chip Valley on TV early because we have a feeling that later they're going to still be playing, and it's one of those things you want to document the season on how well they're doing. Obviously, they have a big advantage in this particular ball game. Anchor Bay now in the MAC Red. Yeah. Which I was really surprised when I heard that. But again, 2-1, on the year, and they'll take their lumps. Perhaps Warren Mott's been one of those teams that goes up and down as well. Yeah. But just the way Chip Valley's been playing, and I think now they're finally on that radar that this is one of the best Division I teams in the state.
Yeah, and I saw him last week in that game against Ike, which was really obviously the first stepping stone for them to head toward a MAC Red title.
Yes.
And they, in the second half, really started to pull away. And I think this is one of those games. It's not necessarily a trap game because obviously, they're going to try to take it week at a time in the MAC Red. But this is an Anchor Bay team that, like you said, you're almost kind of surprised they popped back up into the red after 5 years of being in the white, and then they were in the blue before that and the white before that. Last time they were in the MAC Red was in 2007, and they were 0-5. I think they've lost like 17 straight in the Red Division play. So, it's an uphill climb for them. They know that. But it is one of those, too, where Chip Valley's got to take all of these seriously, and I'm sure they will. But these are the ones that you can't have a trip up after if you beat Dakota and you beat Ike, but you lose to someone else, well, then you've left the door open.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, I'm glad that you said you were there because, the fact that Chip Valley won isn't surprising. Yeah. Maybe the fact that they put 45 up and won seemingly going away. Yep. Was the score as indicative as the game in your mind?
Well, it was and it wasn't because it was a one-score game up until about 8 minutes to go, and then that was right about the time that they had Eisenhower kicked a field goal to bring it back to a one-score game, and David Ellis took a kickback on the ensuing kickoff, and it kind of, from there, it kind of started to get lopsided a little bit. They traded one more touchdown, but Chip Valley didn't throw a single pass in the second half. They decided, we're putting this on our running backs, we're putting it on our line, and they just pounded the ball, and all of the running backs took a turn with hitting the big play and with getting a touchdown, and it was really it was almost one of those gut check attitude kind of things. This is how we're going to win the game or lose it, and they did win it going away.
I will, and I will say that these guys all love their jobs because it is an oven in here. So I just want you guys to know, if you notice sweat perspiring, I'm glad Scott's got his hat on because otherwise
it's warm.
It's very warm in here, but we're all right. We're okay, and we're handling this. So because we love doing this. Go ahead.
I really like in Chippewa Valley. We've talked about Tommy Schuster. We've talked about David Ellis. We've talked about Marcel Lewis, but Javon Kimson out of the secondary also plays running back at the high school level. He's being, projected as a cornerback in college, and he's already committed to Miami of Ohio. But he's a real difference maker back there in the secondary. A lockdown cornerback, great anticipation, and then he's one of the guys that's in the rotation at running back. So he's not someone that you really can't overlook him, and he's one of these diamonds in the rough in terms of Macomb County and guys that you really need to know about.
Well, the good thing is Macomb Dakota's playing just about as well as anybody as well. Granted, they have not had quite the challenges that Chippewa Valley has had because they've beaten a good Saline team as well as Ike. But Macomb Dakota did beat Orchard Lake St. Mary's, and they took care of Anchor Bay 49-27 last week. But they're meeting in 2 weeks, or next week, so that will be a huge battle to see exactly who is going to be the cream of the crop in the MAC Red. So Anchor Bay, Chip Valley, you can look forward to that on stage. Now, another one, again, I mentioned at the when you will see our Alan True segment, is that we have a cancer benefit game that we're doing this week. Our main event is we're going out to St. Clair Shores Lakeshore. Lance Cruz and St. Clair Shores Lakeshore are doing this. Both communities are kind of involved with it. A lot of money being raised for some really good causes. And so we're going to kind of theme the whole show around that particular event so that we can really put the spotlight on what a lot of great high schools do when it comes to, whether it's wearing the pink for the games or whatever it is during that breast cancer awareness thing. This is something that's happening. So I'm looking forward to it. Also because Richie Pop, the head coach.
I was about to say, we were talking Brother Rice.
Yes.
Now we're moving over to Lakeshore versus the Lons Crews, and when you're talking about Lakeshore, you're talking about Richie Pop, the head coach, a disciple of Coach Fracassa back in the glory era of Brother Rice football, and his son Frankie Pop.
He helps with the team.
Right, he was one of the great quarterbacks in that Rice lineage.
Yes, he was.
And his favorite receiver when he was playing was Cavante Martin Manley. Yeah. One of these, he's the definition. I love recalling him to some recruits that are getting frustrated with where they're being, who's coming after them. I always tell the story about Cavante Martin Manley and Rich Pop was a big reason for his development. A guy that only had small time offers, eventually got a Bowling Green offer, took the Bowling Green between the end of the season and training camp. Iowa comes in, he takes that Iowa offer, goes one of the all-time greats offensively for Iowa, broke a lot of records as a wide receiver and a kick returner, and that's a tip of the cap to Richie Pop with the type of how he can coach up players, and we're seeing it this year with Lakeshore and a guy I really like, his quarterback Brandon Tatters. He leads defenses in tatters.
Especially, you're talking about all-time greats. I think Shorians is one of the all-time great mascots. I just love that name. I really fantastic. Do. They're coming off a big win against Warren Fitz, and conversely, the Lancers were up against it against Woods Tower, but it's for a great cause, and it should be a darn good game.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Gold conference matchup here, and we did a documentary on we called it Season in the Shore, on Richie's first season, because he also does inspirational talks and things like that. He's like a motivational speaker, good dude. So we said let's do it, and they went 1 in 10 or whatever that 1 in 9 that year, 1 in 8, yeah. And then last year won 4 games. They're already two wins out of the gate, and so it's kind of fun to see the ones that are going to build something, at a school that again is lacking in resources and things of that nature. But it's right off Lake St. Clair. It's just a stone's throw from there. It's a fun little community, and we're gonna have a good time out there.
I like Tatter's receiving core too.
Yeah,
he's got a deep receiving core. Guys like Jay Sean Green. Guys like Devin Shaw, guys like Robert Turner,
right.
He can spread it around.
Well, he's really made believers, being Richie Pop, in football mattering here, because if you go through the years prior to him arriving there, it was like 3 wins, 2 wins, maybe 4-win season, if you're lucky. They did have a playoff appearance in 2009 and a little bit before that, but for the most part they've struggled. And but since he's been there, this is his 3rd season there. He's got these young guys who have been in the system from the beginning now at the varsity level and believing in themselves and wanting to be real competitors. And for the longest time, before Lakeview was in their division, I believe, but they're not anymore. And they were always that at the talk of St. Clair Shores. They were the power. Sure. And so he wants to kind of even that out. So anyway, we're going to have a good time. Another game that we're covering, which is a West Michigan Conference battle, is going to be Whitehall and Muskegon Oak Ridge. Now, both teams are 3-0 out of the gate, and we thought this would be an intriguing matchup. And again, even if at the smaller school level, these guys are going to be coming after each other.
Well, this is has been sort of a lopsided rivalry in the past. I mean, Oak Ridge had won like 17 straight, I think, before Whitehall won last year 28-14, and this is an Oak Ridge program that's got 13 straight playoff appearances, which in really that area is only second to Muskegon.
I was going to say, I just want to comment.
Go ahead.
It's kind of crazy how they get completely lost in the conversation because of Muskegon, because of Mona Shore.
Muskegon Catholic Central.
Yeah. Yep. So, but for them to go to 13 straight playoff games in the shadows, it doesn't seem to bother them. They're just going to go about their business. Give us respect if you want. If you don't, we're going to come and we're going to smack you in the mouth.
They're averaging 62 points a game this year, too. Yeah. So offense is going to be a problem in this one. Conversely, you got the opposition averaging about 40 points a game. So, we got some offense going on in this one.
And Leroy Quinn, their junior running back, I think he ran for 200 yards and 5 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, this is Division 5 football.
Yep.
So
D5, D6.
Yep, exactly. And I know that last year Whitehall had made the playoffs. They were in Division 4, but again, it's always one of those things that depending on how it goes at the top, whether it's going to bounce you down in terms of enrollment, it's going to bounce you down a division in the playoffs. That's always really interesting. How many 5 and 4 teams get in and all that stuff at the higher end, at the D1, D2, D3 level.
When we were talking about the culture change that Richie Pop has worked, Tony Sigmund, this is his 6th year at Whitehall, and after, again, one of those 1-8 starts, 27-15 in the last 5. And that's for a program that really hasn't done a whole lot over the years, those 4 straight playoffs. I mean, that's huge consistency since then. And when you can get a team, you're going to have those stumbles when you first take over a program and you're trying to institute all of your stuff and get kids to buy in. But once you do get that buy-in and you get that, 6 wins. I believe it was 3 straight years of 6 wins.
Yeah.
And then the last year, you kind of now it's time to take that step forward. And if they can beat Oak Ridge 2 years in a row, that's a huge thing for you to be able to tell your kids when they come in next year.
In the D4 playoffs, only lost to Belding 38-36 last year, so they were right there at the end. Again, coming out of the gate, they're putting up points as well as Muskegon Oak Ridge. This is fun. Both these schools have been playing football a long time. These are traditional, great little towns in the state of Michigan, and so when you get to play the likes of Ravenna and Shelby and North Muskegon is another one, and Hart, it's all fun, good stuff. So that's going to also be on the show. We'll also have some games from the UP and the Flint area, and some of the games of interest around the state we're going to get to right now. We'll probably have some of those highlights as well. I would imagine that Flint's going to put a package that will include Grand Blanc and Flint, Carmen Ainsworth. But let's get into some other games of interest around the state, and we'll kind of be quicker on this, fly through it. Walled Lake Western is 2-1. They are going to Waterford Mott to take on a 3-0 Mott squad. I'm sure Mott would want nothing more.
These programs do not like each other,
right?
And they're kind of one of these. I used the term last week. They're a microwave rivalry. They went from really. There was nothing there 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden, Chris Farr comes in, brings respectability to the Mott program, brings the chance to win a league title every year.
Moxie.
Yeah, and they beat them last year.
Yep.
They shared the league title. A couple years before that, they beat them and shared the league title. They're really the only team that Western, they lost. Week 1 to Catholic Central, but in league play, the last handful of seasons, Mott's the only team that can really challenge Western.
Yeah, right. We've got Western ranked 11th right now in the state. Obviously, we were really looking forward to that first game, which kind of fizzled at the PKC. But they're kind of on a roll right now, and reading your capsule on your rankings, looks like they got some boys who are putting up the points.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is we were talking about that LVC race, and we were kind of figuring it would be the same 3 horses as it was a year ago. Kind of the thing that's thrown a wrench into it is a 3-0 start from South Lyon.
And South Lyon East is 2-1, and it looked really good.
Yeah, with a loss to Traverse City Central, I think. Yeah. And so it's one where we thought it would be this kind of segment of weeks in the middle where they were all playing each other between Mott and Western and Lakeland, and
you got Lakeland, you got Walled Lake Northern.
Yeah, and now those end of the season matchups with South Lyon plays Mott on October 15th or October 5th, and a week later plays Walled Lake Western. And that's going to be a key series in figuring out which team comes out on top in this league all of a sudden. And it's always nice when you get one of those pop-up contenders that kind of shuffles the way you think of this league.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's not just the Sam Johnson show now either. I mean, you're getting contributions from the running back with that junior. With Yasim, is that the junior wide receiver? He's lighting up and
Abdur Rahman Yasim.
And
one of the most
opening some eyes, right?
One of the most fundamentally sound receivers in the state, maybe the most fundamentally runs his routes.
Great route runner.
His execution on his route runners is flawless. On his route running is flawless. Has about I think half dozen Division I offers from the MAC. I think maybe lower tier Big Ten schools are starting to pay attention right now. And he's a guy. He's only a junior. Yeah. His dad, I believe, played at Southfield and then played at Stanford. He's the type of kid that I think by this time next year he's going to have all the big boys offering him, and he might be one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in the state.
We know that Sam Johnson's got a huge arm, and if he's got a kid that can go and get it, because a lot of times he may just overthrow someone, but if he's got somebody outside who can actually go and catch it and find it, that's going to bode well.
KJ Jackson, who's the slot back, just starting to kind of come into his own as a running back.
And again, they were really high that Sam Johnson was going to have a really good year, and he put in a lot of good work. So, South Lyon used to be a contender. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yep.
So it's great for the division. If the Lakes Valley is competitive from top to bottom, that's only going to bode well for them as they get into the playoffs, playing good competition. I think, again, this was one of the real conference transitions where we broke up the KLAA to form their own, that I really think from a football perspective is really great, because again, travel time is, more people can go to all the games, and they can really feel like they've got one of their own. So Wall Lake Western Water from Mott's going to be interesting. We'll predict that one in just a bit. Number 14, Holland West Ottawa, who nobody should sleep on anymore, is 3-0. They are taking on number 16 East Kentwood. East Kentwood is playing a lot better now as well. Again, teams that have played great teams at the beginning, both of them now getting together when it really matters. And this should be a doozy.
I talked to Coach Oshnock today, and it was interesting, Lauren. One of the things I shared with you, he talks about his fine quarterback, Isaac Van Dyke, and he used a baseball analogy. And Matt, you might appreciate this. He said he's like that ace. He's like, you know when it's his time that he's going to step up, and that's what he's done the last couple weeks.
Yes.
He had 5 touchdowns in the double overtime win, and last week, home, he added 6. And he makes plays when he has to. Game-winning touchdown with 20 seconds left, and they're finding a way right now. Panthers living a charmed life right now.
We talked about that in the recap show, that kids accounted for 15 touchdowns. He's somebody who's going to be somebody we have to pay attention to for the Mr. Football Award.
Yeah.
They haven't started 4-0 since 2010.
Yeah.
So this would be one of those that they would really like. They want to get that kind of momentum going.
They just knocked one monkey out, considering they're 1-22 against Rockford.
Right.
1-22. That for a community has got to be, that'll drive you insane. And so now that's done, and they did it in impressive fashions at 45-40, so you're talking about a momentum shift right now. It's definitely in their favor.
Sure. And from the East Kentwood side, we talked early in the season, and we expected them to be good with their huge lines, and it's starting to prove out a little bit. Keontae Blakely, their running back, in a 56-20 win over Caledonia, 10 carries. 4 times he was stopped short of the end zone. 10 carries, 6 touchdowns, 265 yards. Jeez. That's making the most of your opportunities.
And that means he's got big holes that are being
gaping. And that's when you see numbers like that, like you said, that they're getting that blast off the ball that you expect from a line that's got that much just talent on it.
Right. So you're going to see East Kentwood want to control the clock, a la Muskegon in that way. Want to get hopefully a couple of big plays, big yards, but again, control the clock, and then you're going to see Holland West Ottawa come out and want to sling it. And yes,
and this will be one of those fun matchups between guys who are devotees of the spread and guys who want to pound the ball and control the clock. And I always remember, and it was the best quote I've ever gotten, and it's one of those where you just fold up your notebook at the end of it, talking to Mel Skillman, the old coach who was at Alma College and learned the spread there and went to Merrill and had all of those quarterbacks who just blew up the MHSAA record book. And they were playing a Lincoln Alcona team that was kind of a grinded out team. And I said, don't you ever worry about, Merrill was just running the spreads, 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And I said, don't you ever worry about time of possession? I said, I tell my kids time of possession only matters in exorcism. I'm like, okay, done, good, we're going to go. And that's the kind of game, the difference that you're going to be looking at. You're going to be looking at a pounding team and a spread team that's going to want to still throw the ball and still, kind of move up tempo.
That's good stuff. Grand Blanc is 3-0. On the season. They're in a new league. They are taking on Flint Carmen Ainsworth, who is reeling from a tough defeat. They're going to be, but a good team. And, again, we'll see, if they can bounce back the way that they should. But
a lot of athletes on the field.
This should be a good battle. And if Grand Blanc can move to 4-0, they're going to start to really separate themselves that they're the players in this new league. And, again, these are all new rivalries being created.
Well, and Grand Blanc's one of those teams that's always kind of betwixt and between locationally, because they were in the Big Nine forever when the Big Nine was down to like 4 schools. And then they were in the KLAA for part of the time, and that the KLAA
they're
existed.
One of those kind of like no man's lands of coverage where it's like you're not quite in land, or you're not quite in Flint, you're not quite in Oakland County,
right? You're not quite in Livingston, you're just in between.
Nobody wants to drive to your school,
right? This is one of those rivalries between the two of them, though they play almost every year. The only exception since 1986 was 2009, I think. 17-16 in that span. It's every single time, and this is a contested one. And we talked a lot about Carman Ainsworth last week when they were taking on Davison. Grand Blanc's welcome to the Saginaw Valley League is in this span. They'll play Carman Ainsworth, which is 2-1, Davison 3-0, Lapeer 3-0. Mm-hmm. And this is a stretch where this Saginaw Valley South Division, Blue Division, is really. They kind of split it up north and south rather than kind of balancing it, and it's really there are a lot the good teams. There are good teams in the north. There are some great teams in the south, and the
Flint
balance
Powers
of power.
Is in that too.
Flint Powers. Nobody's talking about,
they've
and
been
they're
state champs.
2-1.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to watch how those new rivalries with some of the Saginaw Valley League schools kind of start to play out over the next couple weeks. And with Grand Blanc, you've got one of those teams that's playing for a lot. They lost Pat Mullally, who was a JV coach last year, in a car accident after camp started. I think it was August 12th, and that's kind of one of those. They're playing with a lot on their minds. But when you get a team that's talented and you have some sort of rallying cry like that, those are tough teams to beat.
Yeah, we've talked. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say Cavs played a tough Davison team, to 36-29. So there's no harm in that. So there's going to be a little extra incentive for them as well. Sure. This should be a dandy. This is when you kind of put a circle around the I don't know category.
A lot of athleticism, a lot of speed, a lot of playmakers on the field. The last couple of weeks we've talked about the Fletcher brothers over at Carman Ainsworth. I want to shout out a couple in terms of recruiting.
Go ahead,
I want to shout out a couple kids at Grand Blanc, guys that are what I call the supersonic sleeper specials. Leonard Henry, their linebacker, very high football IQ, can go sideline to sideline, lightning fast, and then Cortez Tolles, their cornerback, in my opinion, maybe the most underrated cornerback prospect out of that area. A handful of Division I offers right now, and a guy that has the wheels, has the cover skills, and great instinct.
The interesting thing is, Grand Blanc, if you think about it, it sounds like a small school, for the most part. They've got over 2,600 kids that are enrolled, and they've stayed consistent like that. And the fact that over the last 10 years, they've only missed the playoffs once, and that was 2015. So this is a program that, again, I think we talk about division alignments with the Saginaw Valley League, especially in this blue division, again, with the teams in it, is, outside of Southwestern, who is trying to figure themselves out, and then they're going to end the year against Saline. So they have scheduled Saline to play going into the playoffs. They're going to be set up, and if you're in Division I, that's what you should do. You need to stack big boys so that you're ready to play with them once you get there in the playoffs. So because they haven't had a whole lot of success in the playoffs, the last two times they've got knocked out of the last 3 times right out of the first round. So they want to make sure that they're ready to go once they get there. So that is going to be another one of real interest. Dearborn-Fordson is 3-0 on the season. Talk about new league. New leagues, yes,
Moving
exactly.
over to Kensington Valley.
They were one of the 3 that came in. Belleville, Dearborn, and Fordson all came in together, and they kind of realigned that division and sent some of the other normally East teams to the West.
For travel purposes.
Yeah, for travel purposes
to
kind of package them up.
Yep.
But this is going to be, we all knew how talented Belleville was, but we didn't think that Belleville was going to go through that division unscathed, because there are some good teams in that division.
Yes.
They got past Churchill, and now this is kind of not really an elimination game, but this is going to be, whichever team comes out of this is going to be the team that still has a chance of catching Belleville if they get some help.
Yeah.
And Fordson obviously still has their own destiny in their own hands to be able to beat Belleville down the road.
Yep.
This is a team that I saw at the Big House, and they've got a quarterback in Hussein Ajami.
I say Hussein Ajami is electricity under center.
He's got an offer from Lawrence Tech, so that's the plug.
I love
but he's also got an offer for a roster spot at Mount Union, which is that Division III power that gets Division II players to come, Division II level talent to come. If Mount Union wants you to come play football, you're good.
Right.
Yeah, that's that. They don't offer that to chumps. So he's got lots of weapons all over the field to get it. That was the game I saw at the Big House against Howell. They had just all kinds of big play. I felt like we were watching ping pong because it was going up and down the field. I think there were 3 plays of 90 yards or more in that game. So it was just, you're one where you're as a photographer trying to get ahead of the action, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't if you're scoring that fast. So
48 points. They put up 45 against my alma mater last week. But give Churchill credit; they bounced back nicely. They 48 points in a I guess you could say bounce back win over Westland John Glenn. This will be interesting. I still think too much for the Tractors, but Churchill putting together a nice little season right now.
Sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. And, that win over Canton, seeing what Canton's done since then makes that look even more impressive. The fact that anybody can stop that tight tee, I tell you, is a challenge. And
our boy Stevie Wonder.
Yes, exactly.
Stevie Wonder Walker. Great nickname.
Thank you.
I'm usually the nickname guy, and Lauren stole my thunder. I'm going to use it. I'm going to
do that. I'm going to give him time, though, right?
I'm going to run with that, man.
Yes, exactly.
For the rest of the year, that's Stevie Wonder Walker.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was one of those things, even a squirrel finds a nut, blanks with all, as they say. But, yeah, this is going to be interesting. We'll get into the predictions in a little bit. But, again, a huge matchup in that KLAA East division. And we also have Traverse. This is a great matchup. It's Traverse City West and Traverse City Central. You really can throw the records out the window. Last year, Kevin, our trusty director and engineer here of this program, who is just outside of the camera view, took the long trip up north to get us footage of that game, and did it in its slow-mo spectacular style. And it was just the environment. I forget how many people there, but I think it was in the 2,000 range, if higher, 2,500 range. Yeah, I think is what it was. So I felt like we were playing Price is Right there. But again, a great game, always a great cause, usually aligned with it, and they're going to get after it.
And we'll have our sports editor emeritus, Tom Markowski, covering that game.
He did it last year.
We'll have coverage of that.
Yes.
That will be wonderful. Like you said, throw the records out, but 13-10 this series is since they split the schools. And last year, West won, and that was large part of the reason, because Central went on and ran the table in the Big North after that.
Yeah.
But still didn't have enough they were going for their 3rd straight Big North title, and that kind of was the one thing.
Yeah.
And in rivalries, you love being the sole reason that your rival doesn't win something. That's just, you almost want to put up a banner for that alone. But
and last year was anybody's ball game, down to the wire, 29-27 final. Yeah.
Well, the Titans can get the bad taste of a 2-game losing streak out of their mouth, and what better way to do it than knocking off the Trojans? And it really is. That's one of those games, and Lauren, if I may, even for hockey, that's like a can't-miss thing.
Yeah.
Traverse City Central, Traverse City West is like can't-miss. There are a lot of people around the state that go, I wonder if I can make it up to Traverse City this weekend. What's Tom doing? Tom, can we come for a visit?
Yes, exactly.
On his couch.
Right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
But no, it really is. Throw the records out the window. It'll be fun.
A big North Division clash as they actually are starting the division play now. So that's what's great about this week is you get a lot of the first games, if not the second games of the conferences. And again, they mean so much. You only play 9.
When you get a rivalry game week 1 or week 2 of your conference, and then you're trying to play catch up the rest of the way.
So we'll see if Traverse City West can do it again. We'll see. All right, so another one that we're looking at, number 13, Muskegon Mona Shores is 3-0 on the season, and they are taking on a Rockford team who gave Holland West Olive all they could, and I thought Rockford might be able to pull out of that. So they definitely, you talk about chips on shoulders, the Rams have a ram on their shoulder that they would love nothing more than to beat Muskegon Mona Shores.
Better than the record indicates. I don't think there's any debate about that. Don't look at the record and think that's a 1-2 team. That's a good 1-2 team. And you were talking about it, Bernie, Muskegon. How about Mona Shores?
Yeah.
All the good football being played in that. And there's Mona Shores. You know, Sailors getting it done. So this will be a great test. I don't want to say that number 13 needs to be tested, but it's going to be a great test anyway because the Rams are going to bring it.
And you just got guys coming out of the woodwork and stepping up. We talked a couple weeks ago about their best player, Damari Roberson, going out in the offseason. He's out for the whole 2018 campaign with a knee injury. He's going to Western Michigan next year as a wide receiver. All of a sudden, James Gilbert steps in. Last week, I think he had 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards receiving. Their quarterback
he ran for 3 as well.
Yeah, his quarterback, Caden
Broersma.
Yeah.
Yep. That family clan. We remember Hunter Broersma, who is, I think he's at Western or Central
looking
now.
sharp, and then there's
Western.
Sincere Dent, who we've talked about.
Absolutely. Yep. He ran for 200. I'm surprised he only had 1 score, but they were just letting Gilbert take care of it once they got down to the wire, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's one of those where that as you said, 1-2 Rockford is different than 1-1 or 1-2 blank team.
Sure.
I mean, Rockford is always going to be a tough team, and it showed last week when they played West Ottawa right down to the wire.
Right down.
That's not a team that's going to be easy, and Mona Shores is certainly not going to look at that record and just go, oh, well, we have a walkover. It's always a tough game between these two.
Broersma with 6 touchdowns against Reitz last week.
Yeah.
3,
it was kind of an ugly
3
game.
through the air to Gilbert, who's taken that number 1 receiving slot and has just ran with it, no pun intended, and then 3 on the ground. Anytime you get in the end zone 6 times on one night, that's a night to remember, baby.
Yeah, and for Rockford, this is the one game, and I'm sure it's the same for Mona Shores, that's not in the OK Red. So it's that one just kind of matchup in the middle, and then they get to the rest of their division, which is Grand Haven and Caledonia and Hudsonville and Granville and East Kentwood. So, and they're going to end the year with Granville and East
Going up
Kentwood.
against the Munger machine
Yes,
in Rockford.
exactly. So that will be interesting, and we'll see if Muskegon Mona Shores really has the stones to now put themselves at the upper echelon. Again, the West Side's so good this year, so strong, and then they're going to get into their black schedule, which is going to be a lot more favorable for them until they face Muskegon on October 12th.
Right.
So that's that one, and one more, and Bernie wanted to bring this up just because it's one of those interesting crossovers that
and
you
both
don't
teams
see
are
too often.
undefeated.
Yeah,
Seaholm and South Lyon.
Yeah.
Seaholm representing the OAA, South Lyon representing the LVC. We just talked about them as a dark horse in that race in the LVC, kind of out of nowhere. They were 1-8 last year. Coach Henson has them playing, really good football right now. They just upset Lakeland in week 3.
Huge win.
Last, touchdown in the last couple minutes. Quarterback Connor Fracassi found Ronnie Menard, and then to go up 17-14. And then Lakeland drove down the field, had a game-tying field goal that missed at the horn. South Lyon's 3-0. Again, tip of the cap to those guys. And then Seaholm
putting up a lot of points.
It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years since they made the playoffs. They were, throughout the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s, they were one of the best suburban programs in Metro Detroit. A rabid fan base, a lot of support. You go to those games, overflowing with
cool stadium.
fans. Yep. And Jimmy Duwall came over there from Andover. First 2 years, great. Kind of surprised people because I don't think people were kind of overlooking. They didn't have a ton of talent on those squads. One of those years they upset Southfield for a district championship. And then it's been
that was 2013.
Yeah, it's been dry for the last 5 years.
And they haven't had a winning season
especially
since then.
last.
And this year,
last year was really rough.
they're thumping teams right now. They've won all their games by 4 touchdowns plus. They got their quarterback back, and Gray Kinney missed all of last year with a knee injury. He's back. They've got a great Thunder and Lightning tailback tandem in Max Shoemaker, who Matt just shouted out, and then Chase Mentag, who's got 6 touchdowns already. So Matt O'Connor, their middle linebacker, I think has almost 30 tackles in 3 weeks. So
well, this is the test they needed because Troy Athens, Ferndale, North Farmington. Not exactly juggernauts at this point in time, so you expected them to dominate. They only gave up 7, 8, and 6 respectively. Right. They have this matchup. Then it gets into Royal Oak, Pontiac, Berkeley, who's not as good as they've been in the past. Farmington again, middle of the road. So I think it's real important here for them to put themselves on the line and really, really want to go out and do the best you can to dominate this game. Right. because then you get Groves at the end of the year, which of course is the annual brouhaha that they get together.
What I liked, I talked to Coach DeWalt this week about. I said, well, what's the magic potion? What's been the difference? And he said, Bernie, you know what? The last couple of years we were getting too smart for our own good. They run that veer. He said we were putting in a lot of bells and whistles and trying to make it a hybrid and it just got too confusing. And we just got back to basics. We simplified it. We went back to what we were doing when I first got there, and it's paying dividends.
Well, and this is what I love about high school football too, is that they clearly they didn't belong in the white.
Right.
They're in the blue now, and this is what you want.
You
want to
fit.
Yeah, exactly. You want that fit to be there, and I'm sure Ferndale and North Farmington and those guys are all saying, "Well, thanks a lot."
Kind of out of left field, but I'll just throw it out there. One of my best memories of high school football as a fan was when I was 15 years old. Taking some of my buddies and going to watch Seaholm upset Brother Rice, who in the playoffs at that time, Brother Rice was a nationally ranked team. I think they were a top 15 team in the country, and Seaholm came out of nowhere, and they had to replace a quarterback who was headed to the Big Ten, Lloyd Abramson,
who was in our top 25.
He was going to Northwestern. He had gotten hurt, and a sophomore. One of the reasons we went to that game is because me and my buddies knew this kid. We had played Little League baseball with him coming up. Billy Feldmeyer stepped in as a sophomore, led them to that victory, and then Billy Feldmeyer ended up going to play college football at Buffalo before they were a Division I program, or just when they were getting started to be a Division I program. But great memory out at Wisner Stadium in Pontiac. Nobody saw it coming.
Yeah, talking about 1993, the pre-region Class A, 14-13.
I was 15 years old.
And then they went on to lose to Fraser 20-3.
Yeah.
How about the Lions? I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, all the struggles they had last year. This is a team, last year they couldn't figure out a way to win, and now they're finding a way to win. Every one of their games have been this much. I think 1-point game, you talked about the 3-point game. I think they had a 19-8 win, but isn't that amazing? In the span of a year, you go from a team that can't catch a break to finding a way to win.
Finding ways to win.
Respect.
And we talked about that South Lion team back in the KVC days, way back.
They got the jugs.
And they were not a perennial powerhouse, but they were
Mark
Thomas's teams. But
love that guy.
when they first made the split in South Lion and split off South Lion East,
that ruined it.
It ruined it for both teams, and it kind of helped out that East was a team that kind of would bounce up and down A and B size wise, so they had chances every couple of years, and they actually had a decent football program.
But
it set South Lion football back for a while.
They just didn't have. They didn't even open up the high school. They made it a middle school because Parker could.
No, that's in Howell. That's different.
Right, that's in Howell. You're
in the 90s.
That's right. South Lion East is a jewel.
Same thing, because they were expecting that same expansion, and they were expecting them to be big A and double A size schools.
They were, because of the way the economy was, and then
it plateaued. And so South Lion East just ended up being a
beautiful school.
Oh,
it's
pristine.
Their food court is like glass. It's like
and the weird thing was, South Lion High School isn't that old. I mean, it's a relatively new.
South Lion made it to what the time made it to the Silverdome.
Yeah,
they played. I believe it was the '95 state finals.
I can.
And that's they play. I know Clarkston
state
uses
finals. Beat Lapeer West.
They won
20. I'm sorry, they lost. No, they lost. You're right.
Exactly.
They lost 20-21-24. But beat Harrison, beat Dearborn, and Pontiac.
I believe
Central
that team was led by Corey Sargent, who ended up being a punter at Michigan.
At Michigan.
Okay, good.
Well, and Clarkston uses that the jungle, for their field.
Yes, that is.
Well, so does South Lion, and that used to be a snake pit to go into for anybody, even if it was a kind of a 5-4 type South Lion team. It was hard to win there, and that's where this game is, and that made home field in these kind of games.
Okay, real quick, because we're going to wrap this up. We're going to quickly do our predictions, and we don't need to spend it. Let's just pick our teams and get through it. So let's start right there. We'll work our way backwards. Seaholm, South Lion. This is an interesting one, as you guys just all alluded to, but I think I'm going to go with just the team that's playing the tougher competition right now, and that's South Lion.
I'll go South Lion as well.
South Lion.
I'll go Seaholm.
Okay, so he's the outlier. Rockford, Muskegon, Moni Shores. Again, I am going to take Rockford at home because they almost did it last week. I believe that they can do it this week. I don't think I can't remember the last time I saw a Rockford team 1-3. I'm not going to say anymore.
I'm sincere in my convictions. Mona Shores.
Okay.
The Brewers and the Ballers are gonna get this one. Mona Shores.
Mona Shores.
Okay. Traverse City West, Traverse City Central. Again, throw out the records, but this one's at TCC, meaning Central. I take Central.
Central.
Trojans.
Taking the home team.
All right. Dearborn Fortson at Livonia Churchill. Fortson, again, wanting to make hay, show that they belong. I believe that they do. I'm going to go Fortson to win on the road.
I'm L-Town for life, but I'm going Fortson.
Tractors.
I'm picking the upset.
All right.
Churchill, baby.
Okay, and it may not be that much of an upset when we see how things play out at the end. Grand Blanc, Flint, Carmen Ainsworth. Carmen Ainsworth really needing a win here. Grand Blanc, again, playing a lot of great competition this year, 3-1. I'm taking Grand Blanc on the road.
I'm going to go with the Cavaliers at home.
I'm going to go with Grand Blanc.
Cavs at home.
All right, split there. Holland West Ottawa and East Kentwood getting together, 14 versus 16 in our top 25 rankings in the state. I am going to ride Van Dyke right now. I think that they've got the magic going as they beat Magic last week, the quarterback, or I don't know if you pronounce it Magic or Majik or whatever his name is. But anyway, Ottawa to win at East Kentwood. I'm going Road Dogs today.
Fighting Oshnocks. I'm with you.
Okay.
Keep fighting away.
I'm going to go Van Dyke at the buzzer.
Okay.
The Van Dyke Express keeps coming down that train tracks and just punishing anything
I'm sure
in its
East
way.
Kentwood can put the audio clip on there and they're play it on a loop. Wall Lake Western and Waterford Mott. This one at Mott. You want to talk about hostile territory?
Yeah.
Mott is the place, and trust me, they're going to fire it up as much as they can. And somebody will have to get into the locker room to hear Farr's speech before the game because it will be laced with profanity. No, I'm just kidding. But it will be very. Rah-rah, let's say that. Wall Lake Western could really use this win to help them. This is going to be a tough one. I am going to take Western on the road.
Nice.
Me too.
Ooh.
Me too.
I'm going to take Mott.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Corsairs.
I
Matty
figured.
Castillo, their new quarterback, another guy that survived a really bad car accident in the offseason, is looking better every game.
Yeah.
He's going to get this dub.
Yeah. Western is pronounced Grignon?
Grignon.
Okay, yeah. He is a great guy, and I
Coming
think-
over from South Lyon.
Exactly, and was building it there. He knows what this means. This would really be huge. And again, the chatter, I'm sure, has already started on social media. So,
It started 5 days ago,
well,
and it
yeah.
got pretty nasty.
yeah, of course it does. That's why I didn't want to relive. Okay,
And in fact, Spencer Brown said, "Little brother on the clock."
all right. Oh, I love it. All right, Whitehall and Muskegon Oak Ridge. This is one of the games on State Champs TV this week, the West Michigan Conference Battle. I'll take Muskegon Oak Ridge at home.
Yeah, I'm going Oak Ridge.
I'm going to take Oak Ridge revenge for last year.
Same. Across the board.
L'Anse Creuse and St. Clair Shores Lakeshore. This one they're going to talk about from decades to come. But again, a cancer benefit game we're covering on the show. I'm going my boy Pop at home all day.
The Pop Pig Skinners going to get this dub.
Okay.
I can't even say that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Lakeshore, though.
Yes.
Shorians.
All right. Shorian's in it. Anchor Bay and Chippewa Valley. I think we all can unanimously say we feel
CV.
Chippewa Valley is one of the best team in the state. Brother Rice and Warren De La Salle, our final one. Warriors going into Wayne State. Would love nothing more with the Warriors doing them run off that field, especially considering what they have to play coming up ahead. And we talked all about the reasons why they're rallying for each other now. I can't go against number 9 Warren De La Salle at home, so I'm going to take the Pilots in a nail biter, like a tough, like they might have to hold on at the end, maybe get a pick or something but that's what I'm going.
Snobby broadcaster who's broadcasting the game will not be selected, so you're up now.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't blame you for doing that. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Brother Rice.
Yeah. I'm going with Brother Rice,
Okay.
too. I think this is going to be a special season that is going to be one, in the annals, one to really remember in a pretty storied lineage of Brother Rice football team.
I'll take Sean's pick.
Okay.
I'll go De La Salle. I'll pick De La Salle for Sean.
All right, so Kevin, the Catholic Central
Take
grad.
away the fact that he's a Catholic Central guy. And
But he likes
biggest
De La Salle.
rivalry in the state.
He knows what's
Thanks,
up.
Rice.
He knows what's up. And so, all right. So we'll see how that plays out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're not going to talk too long, but we're going to talk about our Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race as we have a new entrant, and we've already kind of talked about him before. That's going in. So we'll talk about that next. Stay with us.
My passion is architecture. I don't want to sit around passively studying. I need to create. In our architecture studios at Lorne Tech, we collaborate with students, faculty, and professionals from around the world. And from day one, we design using the same industry standard software that architecture firms use. I really feel like I'm designing my own future here. Lorne Tech. Possible is everything.
Today, we'd like to talk about the MHSAA's new transfer regulation. It's not unusual for a student athlete to play a fall sport at their neighborhood school, then hop in the car after the season is over, and without moving, switch to a new school and be eligible the next fall. Beginning in the fall of 2018, students transferring schools that way will be ineligible for that sport in the fall of 2019. In other words, the next season in that sport. However, the student will be eligible in any other sport at the new school. And if a student meets one of the 15 exceptions in the MHSAA handbook, they could be eligible without delay in that sport at the new school. The rule is designed to slow down the athletically motivated transfers of students and disrupt the pipelines of kids following coaches who change schools or following teammates from non-school sports teams to a single school. For more information on eligibility or the transfer regulation, visit our website, mhsaa.com.
You ready, Darius?
Let's do it. Anybody want an autograph?
Autograph? We're here for the stuffed crust pizza.
Stuffed crust pizza? Hey, who do you think you are? End of the line, pal.
Flavor fanatics love stuffing their faces with our stuffed flavored crust. Get one for only $2 more on any large original round pizza.
Hungry? Howie's!
Welcome back to the Football Forecast. Our second segment, Alan True will be coming up talking about a lot of recruits that and stuff that's happening right now within the recruiting world. So you can look forward to that. Alan True, of course, of 24/7 Sports. We are going to talk about the Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race, and this has been a very fluid race from the beginning. We have had guys pretty much dip out every week. We are adding another to our top 10. Tate Halleck is falling to our watch list, the fine all-everything at Forest Hill Central, but they've had a little bit of struggles. And, again, the team they just lost to is really the team that is really making waves. And Isaac Van Dyke, the quarterback from Holland West Ottawa, is led them to a 3-0 start. They are a real power now, I would say, in Division I, the one kind of west side power out there that Rockford maybe once used to be at the Division I level. And he's moving into our top 10. And you've been on this. I've been
banging the drum.
Yes.
This is not new. He's responsible so far in 3 games for 15 touchdowns. If you average 5 touchdowns a game, they get you noticed. Yeah. But yeah, 3-0 start, and I think he scored 5 times on the ground against Forest Hill Central, and three passing, 3 rushing, including the game winner against Rockford. And yeah, it's like you said, using that analogy of an ace. This is the guy whose hands you want the ball in when the game or the season is on the line. He's your Verlander. He's your Scherzer. Yeah. You got me going on the baseball. Pulled my string. But yeah, this is the guy who, in that offense, that's the guy who has to be your best player, your best athlete, your best decision maker, all of those kind of things, because everything goes through him.
And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, he's not getting a lot of great looks right now. You know, this is a guy that should be getting probably some more.
I don't think he's getting really any looks.
Yeah, this is a guy that should be getting some looks. You know, he's 6 foot, 200 pounds, and as you said, I think when you put up those numbers, especially in the magnitude of games, people are going to start calling.
Yeah, I mean, he would fit right in the Lawrence Tech pro style.
We're not biased or anything
that they want to run. So, but yeah, his stock's going to rise. And again, I'm sure that I know you talked to his coach, and you said he's giddy that Van Dyke is being included in our list. And I'm sure for his parents, and again for those who have dreams of playing at the next level, to put on your resume that regardless of where you go from here, you were a Mr. Football candidate, and he's deserved it.
Well, and we were talking about it before the show today, and if you drop out, you're not a bad player.
No.
But this is reflective of the people who have played the very best so far this season, and you have to say that of the entire state, he's one of the players who has made the most headlines, made the most waves so far.
Yeah.
You know, he could go dry and he could drop off the list.
Right.
That happens.
Yes.
But right now, he's, as you said, we got to put him on the list or we would look silly if we didn't.
Yeah, very much like the, was it Linden or Fenton quarterback last year?
Yeah,
who is now at
Josh. His dad played at Michigan.
Yeah, and he is now at Central Michigan in the backfield or in the secondary.
Okay,
he's not a quarterback anymore, and I can't.
He put up a lot of touchdowns,
but he had to
a
be
lot of yards,
regardless of being a huge recruit. So,
yeah.
All right. So our top 10, basically, that's the only change we're making this week. Stevie Wundy Walker, as we alluded to, the Canton running back again, 300 yards last week, 300 yards the week before. We'll see how he'll probably continue to do that.
Josh Sarnata.
Josh Sarnata. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Pops.
He was an LSU
Sorry,
recruit as well, and I couldn't remember it, but yeah. So he's still on our watch list with somebody really making a sincere dent is on our watch list who is right there on the cusp of getting in. So we have some guys in our top 10, and we're just going to have to really follow closely now and make sure that they're holding their own.
And the guy that I was beating the drum for who got in, Austin Brown,
yes,
just won his 36th varsity game as a starter last.
Is that good?
Last week. So he
deserves to be there.
He knows how to win under
that.
center.
Yep, Sam Johnson is our leading vote getter with over 5,000 votes right now, and that was as of Wednesday at the taping of this. So you stay in the race. When you are the leading vote getter, you are in. And Jaron Mangum is our second leading vote getter right now, the fine running back out of Cass Tech. But second doesn't keep you in. So, it's kind of interesting now. Cass Tech's not going to play anybody. So we had a whole debate on Extra Point about that, which you can check out. But it's I'm not going to pull him for that result. But there's a lot of other guys here who need to continue to make noise, and you can follow that. You can also let us know who you would like, who you think is playing well enough that they should be on this list. Talk to us on Twitter or on Facebook, and definitely you can email us at our contact page at statechampsnetwork.com. Go to statechampsnetwork.com. Matt Mowery's putting up a lot of content now. We've got our top 50 soccer players up there, despite the little correct soccer teams, not players. Soccer teams, yeah. Players are coming that Dan Stickred has done, and Burnstein's got all his bites and blogs and all that stuff. Plus, they have their little video blogs that we have going on.
Volleyball coming.
Yep. So
hoping to get that done soon.
Yes. So get there, check it out. Lots of stuff going on, and we are going to take one more break and come back with Alan True right after this.
I want to be a dermatologist, and though a lot of universities tried to recruit me for basketball, Lawrence Tech had the science curriculum that I wanted. LTU's Southfield campus is a great place to learn, and the classes are small enough that I don't have to wait for office hours to talk to my professors. They're usually right by my side, challenging me and guiding me toward a successful future. Lawrence Tech. Possible is everything.
Fundraising should be fresh, flavorful, and simple. We have the perfect solution at Hungry Howie's, Dough Raiser. Your team or school can sell paper pizza certificates that can be redeemed for one medium pizza at participating locations.
Hungry Howie's makes it easy. It's just a little mini pizza box, but we make lots of money, lots of dough.
Go to doughraiser.com to learn more and sign up. Your next fundraiser comes with flavored crust. Welcome to Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser.
All right, welcome back to the final segment for this edition of the Football Forecast. And each week on the program, we love to have Alan True from 24/7 Sports here to talk football recruiting with us. Of course, you can see Alan's segments on both our State Champs Michigan and Indiana programs. Here we get a chance to talk for a couple of more minutes. So Alan sent me a list of some guys that have some stuff going on, so we're going to get right into it. Alan, first off, how you doing?
Doing well.
All right, good to see you. You're coming through loud and clear, and we love that. The senior Carson Barnhart of Paw Paw, the Michigan offensive tackle commit, he is one of our State Champs Anvil Award candidates. We want to try to get him some more votes. He's only got 10 right now, so what's going on in news in his neck of the woods?
Well, he's firmly committed to Michigan, but a lot of schools came after him before that, and I had a chance to see him play last Friday, which is why I wanted to bring him up this week.
Yeah.
A kid who got a lot of offers during the time when he was playing basketball. Schools had a chance to go see him run the floor, and he did that very well for a 6'4", 282-pound kid. I saw him play last week, and not only doesn't even play offensive line, he plays tight end. They split him out. They were throwing him slants. They threw him deep balls. You just don't see kids 280 pounds that can do stuff like that. Of course, when he got to hit somebody, he pancaked a few guys on some special teams blocks and things. So a kid that, you see Jalen Mayfield got a little bit of first playing time with Michigan last Saturday. I think Carson has a chance to come in and do the same thing. He reminds me of Jalen last year, athletic, and has that little bit of nasty streak to him.
Yeah, I did a double take on my Twitter when I saw Allen tweet that out, that they were splitting Barnhart out wide and using him like that hybrid tight end wide receiver. Just shows what a tremendous athlete he is and how much faith the Paul coaching staff has in him.
Yeah. Go ahead and pull that mic in there, closer on in there.
And I think anybody that's watching Michigan play right now will welcome the help on the offensive line. So I think he's got a chance to step in there and possibly help him out next year.
Yeah, and we're seeing that a little bit right now with at Belleville with their big guy, Tyrese, that going out catching some balls, being very athletic, and just
Tyrese Woods.
Yeah, Tyrese Woods. I think we're seeing more and more now. I don't know. It's just something about the athleticism of these guys. It's off the charts.
It's the era of the hybrid.
Well, we talked on Twitter.
It is. I think you guys asked me last week about kids playing multiple sports, big guys, multiple positions. Same thing. If you're an offensive line prospect, but you can play tight end or you can play defensive end or linebacker or any of those, I think it helps you.
All right. Well, let's keep it with the big guys. The junior Josh Preby of Edwardsburg. He's currently uncommitted offensive lineman.
Yeah. So when I went and saw Carson play, I picked that game because he played against Josh, and it's one of the few games during the year where Carson sees somebody that is of his size and ability level. Josh is 6'5", about 265, 270 pounds right now. They play in a wing T, so it's a lot of straight ahead drive blocking, and he does that very, very well. But when they asked him to do some pass setting over the summer at some camps, he did that, showed he could do it, and that's when he picked up his first couple offers. He has Toledo and Central Michigan. Michigan State is very interested. Notre Dame, which is closer to Edwardsburg than any of the in-state schools are, they've invited him down this weekend, so he's going to visit Notre Dame. In my estimation, after seeing him play and go head-to-head with Carson, I think he has a good chance to end up as a Power 5 guy.
And these guys usually end up choosing their junior year. They don't want to go into a senior year without a thing. So do you have any insight on maybe who's got the upper track right now?
Well, I think he's only got those two offers, but it's going to be, if he got the offers he wanted, Michigan State and Notre Dame would be high on the list. Michigan's reached out to him as well. Obviously, with Notre Dame being so close, if that offer were to come through, I think they would be very, very tough to beat. Edwardsburg, I think, is a pretty heavy Notre Dame kind of area, although I don't know if Josh grew up rooting for them at all.
Right, yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's all about the dream school, there's no question. All right, well, let's get to two more guys and a couple of skill positions making some waves in the recruiting world.
Yeah, Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Anthony Enachukwu, 2020 kid, picked up his first offer.
Oh, bless you, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Lorne. He played some quarterback. He's playing receiver this year. They're throwing it up to him. I saw his highlight from earlier this year. He's making one-handed catches. He's playing some linebacker. Very versatile guy, 6'2", 195 pounds. Is going to have a chance to play any number of positions in college. Sounds like wide receiver is the most likely right now. So Central's in first with the offer. Michigan State, Michigan, those schools have been interested. He's been visiting Michigan for the better part of the last 2 years. Obviously, they know St. Mary's well with the Ross brothers and such, so they've been up there, and there's a couple other schools tracking him as well, but a lot of size and athleticism there.
And he's a two-sport guy, too. We were just talking about Carson Barnhart. Anthony starts on the Orchard Lake St. Mary's basketball team.
Yeah, and he did that as a sophomore, so another guy with that multi-sport background and some versatility. We've seen some guys come out recently where schools say, we don't really know what they're going to play. We just know that we want them on our team. Ben Van Summeren was one of those guys last year. I think Anthony kind of fits that mold of maybe they'll just get him on campus and figure it out from there.
All right, and how about Joshua Fusco?
Yeah, from my alma mater of Zeeland East. He's been a guy they've been talking about a lot the last couple of years. Maybe gets overshadowed a little bit sometimes because they have Adam Berghorst there and Boone Bonema, who are D1 guys. But Josh recently had a chance to pick up a couple of Division I offers. Not Division I offers, scholarship offers. He got some GLIAC offers, has some D3 schools looking at him. I think there's a chance that they'll keep coming in, maybe the FCS level, and keep moving up from there. But he's a kid that they speak really highly of over there. Always in the weight room, plays really tough, could play safety at the next level too. I think it was Saginaw Valley State that jumped in with an offer. So keep an eye out on that name as a kid that gets some more in-state offers too.
Great stuff as always. Thank you for your time. Alan, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Make sure you follow Alan on Twitter. Thanks, buddy.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks as always.
Thanks, AT.
All right, guys, so that's it for this week's edition of the Football Forecast. Big weekend of football going on this weekend. Get out there and enjoy it. The weather's going to be beautiful. No hurricanes hitting the coast of Michigan, so we are good to go. And, again, if you see any of us at the game, he's going to be at De La Salle. Where are you going to be?
I will be at Clarkston Adams.
Okay, where will you be?
I'm not sure yet.
All right.
I'll figure it out.
So, Matt sometimes will run a Twitter poll. So I say, hey, where do you want me to go? And, if he likes the answer, he'll go there. Right. So
I'll see myself some Rocco Spindler.
Okay, well, there you go. We'll be at the State Champs Crew. There's a big cancer benefit game going on out at St. Clair Shores Lakeshore High School. So we're going to be there for Lance Cruz and Lakeshore as those guys get together and raise some money and do some good. So that's where State Champs will be. So if you see us, say hi. Otherwise, extra point on Monday. Have a great weekend.